It's so easy to get caught looking back, isn't it? Well, today, we're diving into this really powerful piece by Debbie Graham called Don't Look Back, You're Not Going That Way. It's this incredible look at how the past can totally hold us hostage and, more importantly, what it really takes to just focus on the road ahead of us.
And this quote, wow, it just perfectly captures the terrifying moment that kicked this whole thing off. I mean, it's a feeling we can probably all relate to on some level, but for the author, the danger was shockingly real.
So picture this. You're driving, right? And the car behind you is just way too close. You know that feeling? You can't stop checking the rearview mirror. You're totally consumed by what they might do. Well, that's exactly what happened to the author. And in that one moment of distraction, staring at what was behind her, she almost slammed right into a total disaster that was stopped right in front of her.
And that near miss, well, it became this powerful metaphor for a trap a lot of us fall into. She calls it the rearview mirror trap.
So this is the question she's really asking all of us, isn't it? How many times do we do this in our own lives? How often are we so focused on the past, the old hurts, the regrets, the what-ifs, that we are completely blind to what's happening right here, right now?
And this really breaks down the danger perfectly. It's like, on one hand, you have the past, that rear-view mirror. That's where you're just dwelling on what might have been, reliving stuff you absolutely cannot change. But then, you look at the road ahead, the present moment. That's where you see what could be. It's where you actually have the power to do something, to maybe even prevent a whole new disaster. The choice seems so clear when you put it like that.
Okay, but this isn't just some clever metaphor. The author gets really personal here and reveals the true emotional cost of being stuck looking back, sharing some incredibly tough experiences.
She takes us to the year 2025, which she describes as just unbelievably challenging, and not just in general, but specifically right inside her own family. It was a time filled with intense struggle and, frankly, a lot of loss.
First, there was the incredible pain of watching her niece, just 45 years old and a young mom, fighting for her life against a devastating cancer diagnosis.
And at the exact same time, another part of her family was just struggling to survive. They'd taken over a business, and from the moment they started, it was just a constant battle to keep it from going under.
And then, the unthinkable happened. The author herself had to face the loss of her 16-year-old son in a car accident. I mean, this wasn't just a glance in the rearview mirror anymore. This was a catastrophic event that completely shattered her world. So, when you're surrounded by that much pain, that much loss, when the past is that heavy, the big question just becomes impossible to ignore. How in the world do you even begin to move forward? And these are the raw, honest questions she was grappling with. How do we let go? How do we move forward from something like that? What direction do we even take? The past can feel so overwhelming, it's absolutely paralyzing. And this is where she has this crucial shift in her thinking. She realizes that moving forward, it's not about forgetting the past. It's not about pretending it never happened. It's about taking its lessons and all the love and intentionally incorporating them into each new day. Okay, so that's the goal. But how do you actually do that? Well, the author came up with a really practical strategy for just taking that first step. And then the one after that. It's a 4-step approach, really. First, you start small. I mean, really small, attainable steps. Don't try to solve everything at once. Second, you start to incorporate the lessons you've learned from what happened. Third, you take the good stuff from the past and you actively cultivate it. You let it grow. And fourth, you take the bad, you bury it, and you let it become the soil you grow from. You use it as fuel. Because really, it all comes down to this one idea. We cannot move forward until we let go of the past, or at the very least, until we make peace with it. You have to stop fighting a battle that's already over, right? That's the only way you'll have the strength for the one that's right in front of you today.
And this really leads to a bigger, more profound question. Why do our struggles even matter? Why do we have to go through all this stuff? Well, the author suggests that they actually have a really deep and essential purpose.
You've probably heard that old saying, right? Life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we respond to it. And that 90%, that's the key. It highlights our incredible power. Look, we can't always control the events, the 10%, but our response, that 90%, that's where our entire story gets written.
And that 10%, the stuff that happens to us, it's often so universal. The death of a loved one, a spouse leaving,
getting a terrible diagnosis, losing your job, your home, a child's rejection, a parent who doesn't remember you anymore. These are the struggles that are just part of the human journey.
And this is the final, powerful idea. All those struggles, the traumas, the losses, they aren't just obstacles to get over. They're the very things that shape us. They force us to grow. The author puts it perfectly. Without them, there is no growth, no story. They are our story. So the real question for all of us is, what kind of story are we going to choose to write with our 90%?
So this entire explainer was based on the article Don't Look Back, You're Not Going That Way by Debbie Graham. You can find it in issue 40 of George Magazine. It's a really powerful and thought-provoking read.